Greetings. All right, so in my last video, I provided an evolutionary perspective on physical activity and movement and all the positive impacts it has on our health. Now, another area where there is strong scientific consensus is the fact that physical activity has a very positive impact and correlation with mental health and well-being. So it improves our energy levels, our mood, it actually helps with our cognitive function, and it reduces mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and stress. Now, why this happens from a scientific perspective is a much more open debate, but what I would like to do with this video is just quickly nerd out with you and step through the evidence and all the ways that physical activity positively impacts our mental health. The first thing to appreciate is that physical activity actually contributes to the physiological health of our brain. And how does it do that? Well, it actually triggers the growth of new blood vessels, so that guarantees active, healthy circulation of blood throughout the brain, and it contributes to neuroplasticity. Now, what's that? Well, that's actually the growth of new neurons. Now, until relatively recently, scientists believed that you were born with a fixed number of neurons, and it was all downhill from there, right? So you could only lose neurons. We now know that the brain actually does grow new neurons, and one of the things which most makes that happen is physical activity and movement. So it really plays a key role in simply keeping the brain healthy, and to the extent that you believe the brain is where mental health and emotional well-being resides, that's obviously super important. The next area is the impact that physical activity has on the complex set and systems of hormones, neurotransmitters, cellular receptors that all impact our energy levels and our mood states. And basically what physical activity does is it triggers the body to produce more of these substances, those substances which do have a positive impact on our mental health and our well-being. The best example of this is known as runner's high, which is this sensation of basically overall good feeling and euphoria that a lot of athletes experience after their training sessions. The next area is tied to the fact that one of the leading hypotheses of what contributes to our mental health issues, and particularly our long-term cognitive decline, is the fact that our modern lifestyle and diet and so forth contributes to a prolonged chronic state of low-level inflammation within the body. Now, what does that mean? Well, inflammation refers to anything which triggers a response from our immune system. Now, keep in mind that the immune system is essentially our set of internal biological military forces designed to fight foreign invaders. You really do not want them engaged for extended periods of time because unfortunately our own cells inevitably suffer damage from their activities. Now, the good news is that physical activity is perhaps the best thing in terms of creating the physiological environment within the body, which acts as a signal for our immune system, our military forces, to stand down. The final factor, at least from a physiological perspective, is the positive impact physical activity has on our mitochondrial health. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, mitochondria are these organelles found in most of our cells that are responsible for generating the energy our cells need to function and to live. Now, a trade-off of using these mitochondria is they generate something called reactive oxygen species, which are basically these biological bullets that can damage our cells, including our neurons. And physical activity basically increases both the number of mitochondria and their efficiency, reducing the level and intensity of the reactive oxygen species that are created, which in the long term is really great for the health of our neurons and as an extension, our brains, our mental health, and our emotional well-being. All right, so there you go. I mean, it really is amazing how much physical activity has a positive physiological impact on our mental health and well-being. And keep in mind that I haven't even touched on the research that looks at the positive psychological elements of physical activity, such as getting a mental break from your daily stressors, from being able to reflect on life, or from the self-confidence which comes from learning new skills associated, for example, with learning a sport. Wrapping up, in my last video, I had said that physical activity was the closest thing to a magical elixir in terms of our overall health. And I hope that this video has convinced you of the strong connection it has with our mental health and well-being, and will encourage you to prioritize putting daily movement into your routine. All right, that's the provocation for today. Cheers.